What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. If you like buying cards and wouldn't mind helping a content creator out, feel free to use my TCG player affiliate link down below. It doesn't cost you anything to do so, except maybe an ounce of kindness. Battles of Legends Terminal World brought us some interesting support cards for different dual terminal archetypes. Ritual Beasts, which are now close to 10 years old, come back into a game where other decks can take as much time as they can. That said, Ritual Beasts are known for their complexity, as not only do you have to have a keen sense of awareness of your own resources, but an understanding of how certain game mechanics work in order to navigate through your own turns. For this first combo, we're going to start with something that's a new concept to the deck, which is a one-card combo, and unfortunately it's still the only one-card combo that it feels like we have right now with Canahawk, and we're going to use its effect banishing our first new card. This is Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara. It's a level 1 that reads, you can only special summon Spiritual Beast Tamer Laras once per turn, and this is what I meant by it being important to manage your resources. A lot of Ritual Beasts happen to have this clause, and when you're looping your Canahawk and stuff, you're going to be special summoning multiple Ritual Beasts, so they kind of have to be different names if you've already special summoned them once before. But you can discard this card immediately. After this effect resolves, normal summon one Ritual Beast monster from your hand. If a Ritual Beast card you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard instead. If this card is banished, you can special summon one Ritual Beast monster from your deck, except Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara. You can only use each effect of Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara once per turn. Now we're going to use the effect of the Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara as it was banished in order to get our OG copy of Lara, and now we'll be able to go into the ulti Canahawk. And for those who don't know how the ulti Canahawk works, I kind of do want to read it for those learning the deck, maybe coming from Master Duels, new to the game and weren't here 10 years ago. It takes one Ritual Beast Tamer monster plus one Spiritual Beast monster, must be special summoned from your extra deck by banishing the above cards you control, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You do not use polymerization. Once per turn, you can target two of your banished Ritual Beast cards, return them to the graveyard, and if you do, add one Ritual Beast card from your deck to your hand. During either player's turn, you can return this card you control to the extra deck, then target two of your banished monsters, one Ritual Beast Tamer and one Spiritual Beast monster, special summon them in defense position. Cool tricks that you can do with Canahawk here. As you see, it has two different effects that require you to have banished monsters. One of them is a quick effect. Basically, you can reduce the cost used for Canahawk if you at least have 3 banished Ritual Beast cards, of course a Tamer and a Spiritual Beast included. But what you do is that you target 2 of the banished Ritual Beast monsters, as we're going to do momentarily, chain the effect with the card's second effect, which would be the diffusion effect, targeting 2 of the other ones. One of them must be the ones that you target with the first effect, and then when the chain resolves, you're going to resolve the second effect first, then special summon the 2 targeted, and then because you'll have one of the targets still banished, you can return that one to the graveyard before adding a Ritual Beast card from your deck to your hand. So you're going to see how that works just now, as we're going to end up targeting the OG Lara along with the Canahawk, and then we'll be able to special summon out the Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara since we didn't target that one, and bring out the Canahawk, and this will end up returning the Canahawk and the Lara to the field while putting the OG Lara into the graveyard, getting ourselves Ritual Beast Tamer Wen. Now we're going to continue here by using the effect of Canahawk in order to banish the Rempengu, and from here we're going to go into our ulti Kimun Falcos, I think is how you say it, but we're now going to be able to use its effect in order to banish a Ritual Beast, get that extra normal summon, and now we can use the effect of the Wen in order to get ourselves a revival from the banished. Earlier in the turn we happened to send the Rampengu, so we're going to revive that, as we're now going to use the effect of the Rampengu, and this will give us the ability to banish the ulti Gaia Pelio, I think it's called, and then we'll be able to send the Spiritual Beast Winda, I think it is, the Spiritual Beast Tamer Winda, I'm sorry, it's been a long time since I read all these card names, but we're going to send it to the graveyard. We'll then be able to go into our next new card by banishing the materials from the graveyard, and this is something that's really big for Ritual Beasts, but this is Ritual Beast Ulti Nochi, and it takes one Ritual Beast Tamer monster plus one Spiritual Beast monster, must be special summoned from your extra deck by banishing the above cards from your field and or graveyard. You can only special summon Ritual Beast Ulti Nochi once per turn. Your opponent cannot target other Ritual Beast monsters you control with card effects, so that's kind of why we're going into this first, as you want to be able to protect yourself for the rest of the turn. Unfortunately, we can't do it earlier. Quick effect, you can return this card to the extra deck, then target one of your banished Ritual Beast monsters, special summon it, but it cannot attack directly. Now we're going to continue here by going into our Canahawk again, and then we're going to use the effect of Canahawk, as this time we'll target the ulti Gaia Pelio along with the Winda. Use the effect of Canahawk, this will end up returning the ulti Gaia Pelio and special summoning the Winda along with the Wen, and now we can end up getting our 2 extra bodies along with a search, and in this case we're going to get ourselves the Ritual Beast Bond, and this is a really important card for the archetype now, as we do have another extra deck monster that we can make with this, but now going to go into another copy of the Cannahawk. We'll then use its effect now as we're going to return to this time around the Winda and the Wen, or the Lara, I'm sorry. We're going to get ourselves the Elder, and from here now we can activate the Bond. We'll end up banishing the Ulti Falcos along with the Ulti Cannahawk, bring out our next new card, the Ritual Beast Ulti Reira Utari. I'm not going to pronounce that right, and I probably butchered it, but it takes 3+ effect monsters. In this case, we just brought it out with Bond. Neither player can tribute cards to activate a card effect, which is kind of cool because it means that you can play around stuff like enemy controller like this, but you can only use each of the following effects of Ritual Beast Ulti Link 4 once per turn. You can target one of your banished Ritual Beast cards, return it to the hand or extra deck, then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon one Ritual Beast monster from your hand. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target one Ritual Beast card you control and one card your opponent controls, banish them. This is a really nice card overall because it can get you a resource back. It gives you the extra normal summon. In this case, we have Elder, so that's essentially 2 extra normal summons once we get the extra card back. And then on top of that, we have a way to interact with our opponent with the banish effect. Now we're going to end up getting the Cannahawk back from the banish zone so that we can normal summon out our Elder with the Link 4, get the extra normal summon off the Elder for the Cannahawk, use the Cannahawk, which will end up banishing the red one. I think this is the Apelio. And from here, we'll then be able to go into our Cannahawk again, as we're now going to get extra search off of the ability to return our Cannahawk along with the Apelio. We'll end up defusing the Cannahawk, bringing back the Apelio and the Elder, which will give us the ability to get our first copy of Steeds, which is the first or second interruption if you end up counting the Link 4. We'll have for our opponent. From here, we'll then be able to go into Cannahawk again. We'll end up putting back 2 from the banish zone again, as we'll now get our next copy of Steeds. From here, we can set our 2 copies of Steeds and pass to our opponent, as it may not look like a lot at first glance, kind of vulnerable to certain things. You have to know how to play around certain cards like Droll and Nib. I think that if you're really learning the deck, you should probably do this first combo exactly step for step a few times because of how the deck kind of works, how it's different to other decks and the way it plays. I think repetition is the most important thing to really get going with this deck. For this second combo, it'll practically be the same as our first combo, but I would like to go over some extra nuances here. And we have our next new card and our final new card, Ritual Beast Inheritance. It's a continuous spell that reads, monsters your opponent control lose 200 attack for each different type amongst Ritual Beast monsters you control. You can only use each of the following effects of Inheritance once per turn. You can reveal one Ritual Beast monster in your hand, add one Ritual Beast monster with a different type from your deck to your hand, and discard one card. If 2 or more monsters are special summoned to your field at the same time, you can target one on the field, change the battle position. That just doesn't matter. We're now going to be able to activate the continuous spell. We're going to get ourselves the copy of Ulti Cannahawk in order to give ourselves the 1-card combo here. Change how your turn looks with more cards in your hand, having the ability to bring out stuff like Apelio, and then having the Lara in the graveyard, which can set up for a banish, especially if you have an Elder in hand. And that gives you the extra normal summon with the extra body, the Apelio, and then you get the other body off of the Apelio, being able to banish the Lara. But it's just little things like that that I wanted to show that you get through this setup, and of course you'll have more opportunities to mess around with that as the combo continues. But first we're going to continue with the Cannahawk again, to banish the second copy of Lara here, as we're going to get the effect summoning out the OG copy of Lara again. We'll then go into our Ulti Cannahawk. We're going to start doing the same thing that we did previously, putting back the OG along being able to special summon out the new Lara and the Cannahawk, and be able to return the OG, as we're going to also get our search here for the Wen. I'm just going to show that you can use the Inheritance here, change the battle position. Again, it really doesn't matter, but we're going to use the effect of the Cannahawk banishing the Rampengu now, and it's nice that the Cannahawk isn't a hard once per turn on the field, because being able to set up our banish zone by using the Cannahawk multiple times is really important, as we're going to use the Ulti Falcos banishing the Cannahawk. Now we can normal summon the Wen, use the Wen, which will bring back the Rampengu. Remember, we've already special summoned the Cannahawk. Now from here, we'll be able to use the Rampengu and be able to banish the Ulti Apelio along with sending the Winda to the graveyard. Here we'll then be able to banish the 2 materials from the graveyard for our Ulti Nochi. Now we're then going to go into our Cannahawk again, use the effect of Cannahawk, be able to target the Win and the Ulti Apelio. We'll then then chain the diffusion effect. We'll then be able to bring back the Winda and the Wen. Here we're then going to get ourselves the copy of the Bond. We do want to be able to get access into our link 4, go into the ulti Kanahawk, use the effect of the ulti Kanahawk, return 2 of the names to the graveyard so that we can get ourselves Elder. Here we'll then be able to activate the Bond, go into our, whatever it's called, the link 4, use its effect in order to get back the Kanahawk. Again, we don't have to special summon the Kanahawk this time around, and we can't regardless, but having the ability to get it as an extra normal summon here is huge. We're now going to be able to normal summon the Elder, get the extra normal summon for the Kanahawk, use the Kanahawk again, banish the Dolphin. Here we'll then be able to go into the ulti Kanahawk, use the effect of the ulti Kanahawk. We'll then be able to target the Dolphin and the Kanahawk, as we're now going to revive the Dolphin along with the Elder. From here we'll put the ulti Kanahawk copy back into the graveyard, as we're now going to get our first copy of Steeds. From here we can then go into the second copy of Kanahawk, use the effect of Kanahawk in order to get ourselves the second copy of Steeds, and with this, just like the last combo, we have the setup of our 2 fusion monsters, the link 4, and 2 copies of Steeds to pass on to our opponent with. For this third combo, we have the Lara and the Apelio, and this is kind of what I mentioned before, where if you do have the setup of the Apelio on board with the Lara in the graveyard, good amount that you can do. Now going to use the Apelio banishing the Lara will then trigger, which will be able to special summon out the OG Lara. We'll then go into the Kanahawk, use the effect of Kanahawk, which will be able to target the OG Lara along with the Apelio. We'll then be able to revive the Apelio and the new Lara, back to Lara in the graveyard, as we're now going to get ourselves the copy of Kanahawk via search this time. We'll be able to normal summon the Kanahawk. This will give us the banish. We're going to banish the Rempengu. From here we'll use the Apelio, and you don't have to, but I just want to show again that you can. We're going to continue here by going into our Kanahawk, using the effect of Kanahawk. We'll be able to put back the Kanahawk along with the new Lara, but in this case we're just going to end up getting the ad for the Wen, and now we can end up going into our ulti Kimun Falcos. We'll end up banishing the Kanahawk, normal summon the Wen, use the effect of Wen to bring back the Rempengu, and you can see now we're at points that we have been before to get to this part where you use the Pengu to get the extra name in the graveyard, then we get the access to the new fusion, so we're going to do just that. We'll then be able to go into the Kanahawk, we'll then use the effect of the Kanahawk again, tag out, we can bring back the Wind along with the Kanahawk. Now going to end up putting the ulti Gaia Pelio into the graveyard. We'll get ourselves the Bond. From here we'll then be able to go and use the Kanahawk's effect again, as we're now going to be able to banish the Dolphin. From here we can go into our ulti Kanahawk, use its effect, as this will be able to 2 back in the graveyard, as we're also going to tag out. We only put 1 back in the graveyard, bringing back the Dolphin and the Wen. The Apelio will go to the graveyard, and then from here we'll be able to get ourselves the Elder. We'll then go into the ulti Kanahawk again, use the effect of the ulti Kanahawk, putting back the Dolphin and the Winda. In this case, we'll get ourselves the Steeds now because we're a search ahead. Now we're going to activate the Bond. Now we can use the effect to bring out our ulti 4, the effect in order to get back our Kanahawk, and as you've seen before, now we have the Elder plus the Kanahawk, which means that we get 2 normal summons, the extra banish. So we're going to use the effect of the Kanahawk, and I think we're banishing the Zephyra Pilica, and again, it kind of doesn't matter what you banish here, you just want the extra name. In this case, we're just going to get ourselves an extra Tamer, and we're going to go for the ulti Kanahawk here, get ourselves the second copy of Steeds by putting back 2 graveyard, and from here, to end on the same thing that we've been ending, except that we didn't need to open with the Kanahawk this time. Combo before a test hand. I wanted to show what happens when you don't really draw combo. You happen to see access to cards that you can play with. We're going to start here with the Gold Sark, and this is something else that may be optional in the long term. I don't know how I'm going to proceed with this deck in the months to come. This is just a skeleton version of it, and for the skeleton version of it, I will be using the Gold Sark, and we're going to end up banishing the new Lara, use the effect of the new Lara, which will bring out the ulti Kanahawk. Now keep in mind, now we have special summon the ulti Kanahawk, regular Kanahawk, so that means that we can't use tag out effect of the ulti Kanahawk to bring it back because we've already special summoned it. So we're going to end up banishing the Rempengu, normal summon the Zephyra Pilica, go into our ulti Kanahawk, the effect of Ulti Kanahawk, returning the Rimpengu and the Zephyrpilica, tag out, bring back the Rimpengu along with the new Lara, and then from here we can use the effect of the Rimpengu after we put the Pilica in the graveyard and add ourselves the Wen, end up sending ourselves the new Gaia-Pelio along with the Winda. We'll then go into our Ulti Kimoon Falcos, use the effect of the Ulti Kimoon Falcos, banish the Winda, use the effect of Wen. Now we can use the Wen, bringing back the Winda, as we'll then be able to banish our 2 cards in the graveyard to go into our new fusion. To the Ulti Kanahawk, use the effect of Ulti Kanahawk. In this case, we're going to put back the Ulti Gaia-Pelio and the Winda in order to get ourselves the add for the bond, as we want to be able to go into our Link 4. Just that, as we're now going to be able to use the effect to get back our Wen. Again, the normal summon effect of this is not a hard once per turn, so we'll be able to use it again, giving us the extra 2 bodies here. Now, I would like to point out, you can get yourself back the Ulti Kimoon Falcos here, as I'm going to do, but you can also get yourself back the Zephyrpilica if you want to go into something like IP Masquerena. You can even go into a rank 3, but we're going to end up going into our SP Little Knight. So again, if you want to go into IP Masquerena with the Zephyrpilica, or if you want to get the banish off of SP, which is what I want to show, because you may have something else you can continue to play with, you can banish one of your own cards here off of the SP Little Knight to refuel your banish zone and continue from there. For this test hand, I wanted to talk about some of the things that have made me think about this archetype and how this deck is going to go moving forward, where I do open up the Gold Sark. Again, nice to have because it's just extra to get to an extender, but then we also have the Pot of Prosperity, and the Shifter is just really weird here. So typically, you would want to play Shifter in a deck like this because there's a lot of banishing. At the same time, if you were to activate Shifter here, you really wouldn't be able to play your own turn. As you'll see momentarily, we've been using the Kanahawk effect a lot, refueling graveyard and then banishing everything again, so that's kind of why I say it. You also lose access being able to special summon or fusion summon out your Ulti Nochi because you can't get anything into the graveyard, so you would have to use the materials from the field, and that can kind of hurt. You'll see that I'm going to bypass using Shifter overall, and that makes me question if it should be in the deck or not. Just wanted to say that before I continue on, and we're going to use the effect of the Pot of Prosperity. We're going to reveal a Pelio along with the new Lara and the Dolphin. We're going to get ourselves the new Lara, as that was a really good hit, because it means that we have the ability to get an extra summon now, as we're now going to normal summon the Rimpengu. Off that extra normal summon, use the effect of Rimpengu. We'll reveal the Ulti Gaia-Pelio, sending the Zephyrpilica, because we happen to see the Winda. So that is something important to note. We do have other psychics that you can send, so it's not all done if you do happen to open this. From here, we'll then be able to activate the Gold Sark, banishing our new Lara, and this will give us the ability to get access into our Kanahawk. Now we can use the effect of Kanahawk, which will end up banishing the Apelio. We'll normal summon the Winda, go into our Ulti Kanahawk, use the effect of Kanahawk, as we'll end up getting the Apelio and the Winda. We'll then tag out so that we can bring back the Winda and I believe the Apelio, as we'll then be able to put back the Ulti Gaia-Pelio into the graveyard, getting ourselves the Wen. From here, we can use the effect of the Apelio, banishing the Zephyrpilica, as we'll then go into the Ulti Kimoon Falcos, use the effect of Ulti in order to get that extra normal summon the Wen, use the effect of the Wen, which will bring back the Rimpengu, and again, you've seen us before in this position where we have the Wen, the Pengu, but now we do have the extra body alongside the Kimoon Falcos. We'll then be able to go into our new fusion, we'll go into the Ulti Kanahawk, use the effect of the Ulti Kanahawk, we'll target the Lara along with the Apelio, then tag out so that we can bring back one of them and put back one in the graveyard. So we'll special summon out Lara and Apelio, or the 2 Laras, putting back the Apelio, I'm sorry, getting ourselves the bond, and from here we'll then be able to go into the Ulti Kanahawk, use the effect of Ulti Kanahawk, as we'll put back 2 in the graveyard, and then we'll be able to add ourselves the Elder, and from here we're then going to activate the bond. We'll be able to go into our Ulti Link 4, use the effect in order to get ourselves back the Kanahawk. Since we have the Elder, we'll be able to get the 2 extra normal summons plus a banish. Here we'll normal summon the Elder, get extra normal summon, use the effect of Kanahawk to banish the Dolphin, getting us that extra spiritual beast name so that we can special summon yet again. But we'll now be able to use the effect of Ulti Kanahawk here, targeting the Ritual Beast, Kanahawk, and the Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara, or the Winda, I'm sorry, but we're now going to be able to end up summoning back the Elder and the Dolphin, as we're now going to be able to add ourselves the copy of Steeds. From here, we can then use the monsters on board in order to go into our Ulti Kanahawk, use the effect again in order to get ourselves yourselves another copy of Steeds, and from here you do have options. You can go into IP Masquerena with these two and set the two Steeds, or if you want to keep as many Ritual Beast names as possible, then just set the two Steeds and then pass on to your opponent, as I'm going to do here. But again, this just shows a hand where Shifter may be nice and all, but it is going to prevent you from playing if you don't the right hand really make it work. That, I'll take you on to the deck profile. Combos out of the way, we can get onto the deck profile, and there are some things I would like to point out. As mentioned, I am conflicted on Shifter. If you do want to take this out, you can, just because between the Rempengu, the Apelio, Ulti Canahawk, ability to special summon out the Nochi off of banishing things from the graveyard, the Ulti Kimun Falcos needs a card in the graveyard. Don't know if I want to continue playing Shifter, so again, you can make that decision. Own deck. I would also like to talk about the Gold Sark. I still like Gold Sark just because it's an extra banish like Canahawk, can get you access into an extra body via Lara, which can be really important. If there's one change I've really been considering is putting the Underworld Goddess into the side deck, or even just taking it out entirely, putting in a second copy of the Ulti Gaia Pelio, also the Pedafin or the Petalfin that you can play as well. For the most part, what you want with your Link monsters is the IP, the SP, along with the two copies of the Link 2 Ritual Beast, copy of your Link 4, and then you can play the Appaloosa as well, because usually when you end with the IP, you're going to be ending with the Ulti Kimun Falcos as well, so there is a way to make Appaloosa with that. I also would like to talk about Emergency Teleport. You do have a lot of psychics that you can bring out, though they are tamers. What made me believe it was probably better off to just play Prosperity, because at least then you have a chance to fix your hand based off what you have, instead of having to special summon out just a tamer with the Emergency Teleport. And that brings me to Small World as well. I think Small World could be important because it's just an extra way to get into the Canahawk. I don't know if I would main it yet. We need to, because at the same time, when you do have a full hand, you should be able to get there most of the time, but just something worth considering. Of course, there's things like Called By, Cross Out that you can play as well if you would like to, especially over the Shifters, because we do have things like Nib, Imperm, and Veiler that we can end up hitting off of the clouds and stuff like that, help you play through your turns. But all of that out of the way, I don't have much else to say, so I'm just going to get on to the card by card. We have the 3 Elders, the 3 Laras, the 3 copies of Inheritance, the 3 copies of Prosp. We then have the 2 Steeds and the 1 Ambush. Ambush is really nice for the mid to late game, as you're just able to get more resources, go into your monsters again, keep on continuing. But then we have the 3 copies of Canahawk, the 2 copies of Rempengu, along with the 1 copy of Apelio. You can make it 2 Apelio, 1 Rempengu. I'm still unsure about what I want to do here. We then have the 1 Dolphin or the 1 Petalfin. We then have the 1 Winda, the 1 OG Lara, the Sephropilica. We then have the 1 copy of Wen. We then have the 3 copies of Nib, the 3 copies of Shifter, which again is optional, the 3 copies of Veiler, the 3 copies of Imperm. Onto the extra deck, we have the 1 copy of Apo. We have the 1 copy of the Ulti Reira. We then have the 2 copies of the Ulti Kimun Falcos, 1 SP, 1 IP, the 2 copies of the Ulti Gaia Pelio, or you can put one of these in for one of these. We then have the 2 Ulti Nochi, the 2 Ulti Apelio, and the 3 Ulti Canahawk to round out the deck profile. So for everyone who's made it this far, I'd like to thank you for watching, and for the 700 plus subscribers. I truly appreciate your support, and now that we've monetized the channel, giving us access to supers and memberships means that more awesome stuff is on the horizon. To get the channel membership, just click on the description below, and there will be a link that takes you there. You'll also notice a free Discord link that I've made for us too. If you want to support me as a content creator, even if you can't donate supers or get a membership for the channel, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons help a lot too. For those wondering, I do plan on making updates to the channel as the support on the channel grows. Anyways, I hope to see you on the next one. It's Bones signing